it's like 5 o'clock or whatever time it was, 4 o'clock. I worked usually on the early side, so I'm home 3:30, 4:30 in that time frame. It's like I never said it, right? And there wasn't even I said I wouldn't do this, right? It was just, it's Tuesday afternoon and I'm home from work and what's in the fridge, right? Nothing in the fridge. I'll have a glass of wine. And I learned what AF was on Strive, and I learned the term cognitive dissonance. And I have used, my phone actually suggests, if I type COG, it goes cognitive dissonance, right? So like I've said it 1,000 times. I do believe that it is like the cancer, the emotional cancer of many things, but in terms of drinking.
Welcome to the 1000 Days Sober podcast. I am not an alcoholic. I refuse to be anonymous. I am alcohol free as fuck, and I spend every single moment of my life helping other people be the same and live a self-led life. Straight to it today. Just want to welcome all of you here and this wonderful conversation with Doug Gelling. Doug quit drinking in 2016 after a decade of increasing consumption. He never hit rock bottom, but his life was unsustainable. His health and relationships were suffering greatly due to alcohol dependence and overuse. Since quitting, Doug has achieved excellent health and emotional well-being through discipline, fitness, spirituality, mindfulness, and devotion to serving others. Doug's focus is on mindfulness, Buddhism, and Stoicism. He doesn't call himself a Buddhist, but considers himself a practicing Stoic. He also practices mindfulness daily. Doug's guiding principle can be summed up with Dr. B.J. Miller's quote. He's paraphrasing here: life is precious because it ends. Nothing that has an unlimited supply is precious, says Doug. As I've gotten older, I understand that each day is truly a precious gift. I will not waste another one of them. I met Doug as part of Strive. Doug was a part of Strive. He joined many years ago and had a tremendous impact helping other people. And I want you to follow suit with Doug. So we are offering for free a month's experience of Strive. Come and join our online community. Come and experience our Strive Method quest, which will help you learn more about why you are alcohol reliant, why you are not living a self-led life, and to really help you to embody new knowledge, new understanding, and new wisdom to really find the power within yourself. And also join our weekly Zoom group coaching calls. If you're interested in that, give me an email at thestrivemethod@gmail.com and come and join people like Doug, who really has put alcohol behind him. So without further ado, I will shut the hell up and leave you in the capable hands of the amazing, the brilliant, the deeply thoughtful Doug Gelling. So you were just saying, Doug, we haven't spoken since 2018, right?
It was somewhere in that time frame, maybe 2019. I don't know. But it was early Strive days for me. Early Strive days.
Yeah. Early Strive days. I like it. It's been like 10 years. It's been like 10 or 12 years of different iterations of Strive until today.
I love watching the progress. I'm look, mutual admiration. Well, no, I don't know, but mutual admiration. Admiration Society. I appreciate what you do, and those early days. I was not on social media, and I'm still not on social media except for a few Facebook groups. William Porter's Alcohol Explained, another guy, Simon Chappell has a group. So I'm on them, but I don't do social media. And I remember, I don't know who I replied to. One of the gang one of the core gang back then, I was kind of like, I don't know if I can say this. And all of a sudden I was chatting with people. I'm like, oh, this is cool. And it really changed. It was like a launch pad for me to go from just not drinking to, being alcohol free.
Yeah.
I remember saying, "What is AF?"
And now I'm saying AF.
AF. Yeah. Honestly, I'm on my laptop here. I have a PDF on my desktop. The license plate, or what do you call them? Tags. I don't know what you call them on your side of the Atlantic. the license plate tag for my state, AFAF, is available. I think I'm going to do it. I'm sitting there. Do I feel like driving around? I don't wear it on my sleeve that much, but it would definitely be fun.
Yeah. Tell me, how did your drinking career begin? I mean, culturally, Strive, as you know, is multicultural. We got people from all over the world. We all have our different stories. How did your drinking story begin?
Yeah, I started the first time I drank, I got completely wasted and was like dragged home. That's, I mean, I've never actually connected that was really the first time I drank. I mean, it wasn't like I tried a beer here or, had a, drink that, snuck a drink. The first time I drank, I don't know why, my good friend, neighbor, his older siblings, some big graduation party. We were like 15, 16 or so. And we were assigned bartender duty. It was really just like handing out beers. We weren't like mixing drinks, but I guess they were going to let us be, big kids, right, at the party. And I went from, trying to be to, I mean, I do remember drinking some kind of booze out of the bottle when I was 15. And I woke up the next day with, on the tops of my feet were all cut because I was dragged by my friends back to my house. And really, this is kind of shocking to me that was my first drinking experience. I mean, it's not like I'd forgotten about it, but it was the first. And maybe that was a bad sign. But like after that, it was kind of normal. I have a brother who's 3 grades ahead of me. And so like when he was like a senior in high school, freshman in college, he was, big man on campus and partying. I tagged along, little brother. And so I'm in bars with him and all his older friends when I was 16, 17, 18, like before I was legally drinking. And it just kind of went from there that he was like my role model. Just drank through college, always drinking more than everybody else, last man standing, but it was all kind of party mode. I didn't ever identify it as that I was drinking too much, or, I didn't even see myself being that different than the crowd that I was in. But definitely I was always leading the pack through my 20s. And in college, another warning sign that I ignored, I had never used any drugs, never smoked any weed in high school. World is so different now. But back then it wasn't on, it wasn't just everywhere like it is today. And I tried weed for the first time my freshman year, and I got really in trouble with it. I struggled in school primarily because of, drug and alcohol use. I got through 4 years of college. I got a degree. I've been successful. And that had always been my sort of my excuse. Like, yeah, I'm a successful guy. I got a decent job, But that's what it looked like through my 20s. I got married I was like 25 or 6-ish age. My wife, who we drank plenty, said she had no tolerance for weed like that. Like she distinguished between alcohol and weed. And she says, you got a choice, weed or me. I gave up smoking. I was like, well, I don't need it. We're still drinking plenty. So I quit smoking weed and, on the spot back then. And we just continued to drink through our first child being born. And then it's funny, like compare then to now, she stopped drinking. She was a very avid breastfeeder, breastfed all her kids. Her drinking went like this. My drinking stayed the same. And my daughter was around 2000. my oldest who's like 25 now, was a 2-year-old, somewhere in this ballpark. I got really drunk at a party, right? But it was still regular, just regular stuff, social, partying. It wasn't impacting my life negatively, in my mind. But it was sort of like the last straw for Catherine. And she didn't make me, or like, I just kind of said, you know what, I gotta stop. Like, she wanted me to cut down. There were no ultimatums or anything like that. I'm drinking too much and it's out of control, and, things were tough. It was causing problems. And I quit for about a year. And I remember we were in Italy. I had a glass of wine on my birthday because, like, to me, like, it's so, like, I'm laughing at the naivete of it now, like, like if someone posted, I haven't drank for a year, I'm going to have it on my birthday, I'd be like, what are you doing? But back then we were in this little, hill town. I'm like, it's my birthday. But I still didn't start drinking until, I don't know how long that went. I wasn't day counting. I just had quit for a while. But again, it's a real indicator. Like, I wasn't, even though I knew I drank more than probably most people, it really wasn't having, significant adverse consequences. Everything seemed normal. I did quit for like that I quit, though, that I felt it necessary to quit. It's just like, warning, right? But I, for no reason at all, it wasn't like I was triggered or, decided to. I just started drinking again, right? And I drank for another, I quit in 2016. So there was about 10, 12, 13 years where my drinking kind of just went like this again. And then it kind of went like this in those. Now I'm like 45, coming into 50 years old. And I'm like starting to feel mortal. And I quit in 2016. I've said this I've typed this 1,000 times. I woke up every day, probably for 3 years. I don't know. It was years that I would wake up and say, I can't do this anymore. You got to stop. Like, this is, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. And I would, like, it was just, the stories, right? I 6 o'clock, the alarm goes off, and I'm not talking, I wasn't, I would drink between 4 to 6 beers, 3 beers, a glass of wine, a martini, 3 beers. Like, I wasn't shit-faced, right? It was just like steady, always buzzed. Getting home, like, the first thing I would do, crack open a beer, get changed, have a second beer, go cook dinner, have a third. Like, it was stupid. Like, there was no point. My drinking served no point. And I was miserable. Absolutely. Like, passively suicidal, passive suicidal ideation. I just didn't want to live. And like, there's a lot of, I'm speeding fast through it, but I quit in 2016, and in February. So here's a typical story. I am like everyone else. Quit in February. I'm like, that's it. I'm done. And I went to a big Irish funeral. My good friend, the same family who had me bartend when I was 16. His wonderful mom passed, and I went to the funeral. A big Irish family. Everyone's drinking. I'm like, oh well, I'm going to drink. So I drank. That was February. I fucked up a couple. Pardon me. I don't know if this is for children or not. I had 2 more big drink, like, sort of. I didn't binge much, but there were times when I would have, like, way more than 3, 4, 5, 6. I'd have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm like completely faced. I had a couple of those in, like, it was May. It was my friend's birthday I went to. I got absolutely shit faced, and I drove my entire family home with one eye open. I'm like, that's it. This is like, I just endangered my entire family. And the next, like 2 days later, I was drinking again. The following week, you know this much of the story. My wife and I had been separated, are separated, a lot of conflict, and dysfunction. We went to an event, but we've always been together, even though we live separately. Went to some event, and we had like this, who can get more fucked up competition. Like, we were angry. I got obliterated. Someone else had to drive us home. And I woke up the next day and I quit and I never drank again. So there's a lot happened in there, but that's sort of the arc of my drinking career.
There's a couple of things there I want to touch upon. I'm not going to do it. I'll jump around. I won't do it logically. The first thing that I want to talk about and ask your opinion on is this: I can't do this anymore. Yeah. So like I'll just share how that used to work for me, and then love to have your comments, what you think and feel about it. Is I had the worst hangovers ever. I think partly that was because I drank so much, but also, I'm half Asian, so there's that gene that Asian people have that makes them sicker than normal people when it comes to alcohol. So I'm sure that maybe might have paid an effect. But I had terrible hangovers, and I would wake up and say, I'm never going to do this again, right? Like, I cannot do this again. However, there was not one single cell in my body that ever contemplated never drinking again seriously when I said, I'm not going to drink again. It was almost like it wasn't serious. I had the hangover. I'm like, I'm never going to do this again. And by the time I sobered up, the death effect was so strong. The cognitive dissonance was it done such a good job of like just silencing and making everything, like making puking up blood normal. Like, it was normalized so much that I never considered seriously stopping. And funnily enough, like for me, the first time I ever seriously said, actually, I think I'm going to stop drinking forever, I did. Like, I never had any of these in and outs.
Yeah.
At all. All the times I said, I'm never going to do this again, it was just bullshit talking. What are your thoughts on that? I can't do this.
Well, first of all, everything that I'll say now that I gave you, like the nickel tour of my drinking, is in hindsight, right? You don't know any of this stuff then. But I can look back now at that period of time, and I really don't know if it was 6 months, a year, or 3 years. It was a period. Things were really. I was really getting my ass. I was kicking my own ass. Life sucked, and I hated my job, hated everything, and so I'd wake up and it was either I can't do this anymore, or you got to stop. And like you. Like, it's like 5 o'clock or whatever time it was, 4 o'clock. I worked usually on the early side, so I'm home 3:30, 4:30 in that time frame. It's like I never said it, right? And it wasn't. There wasn't even I said I wouldn't do this, right? It was just, it's Tuesday afternoon and I'm home from work, and what's in the fridge, right? Nothing in the fridge. I'll have a bottle, I'll have a glass of wine, and I learned the term. I learned what AF was on Strive, and I learned the term cognitive dissonance. And I have used, my phone actually suggests if I type COG, it goes cognitive dissonance, right? So like I've said it 1,000 times. I do believe that it is like the cancer, the emotional cancer of many things, but in terms of drinking. It was a total lie. I can't do this anymore. That is a false statement. I proved it every single day. You got to stop. No, I don't. I don't have to stop. And like you said, it was like you never said it seriously. But in the moment, every morning, I was serious. It wasn't like, oh fuck, I better not do this again. It was like, I can't do this anymore. And deep down, you probably knew it was just a lie. And as I look back on that, I do think that was was a major part of another term I use all the time. And, again, it's all hindsight, is self-loathing. I didn't, even though this is not an exaggeration. This is not hyperbole here. Every single night in this period, for whether it was 6 months or 3 years, it was a long time. I think it was close to like 2.5, 3 years. I could not go to sleep without having a death fantasy. Like, I would lay down, low grade, like anxiety. I sort of felt the self-hatred, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't know it was the alcohol. I like nothing, like it's all clear to me now. Then it wasn't. But I would literally think, what if I, had an accident, or, maybe I'll get a disease, maybe I'll get cancer, and then, no, those things aren't going to happen. Like, maybe I just won't wake up, and maybe I can just fall asleep and not wake up, and that was real. Like that's just day after day. That's no way to live, right? That's not living, that's dying. And I think it was because of cognitive dissonance. I was doing, the drinking was just one of the things that I was doing that wasn't, aligning with my values. That, it was a major portion and a contributing factor to everything that was going wrong in my life. And so to me, it's a very important aspect of my turnaround is, and there's lots of, there's so many memes and quotes and things, but showing up for yourself, self-reflection, transparency, honesty, resiliency, all there's, I could spend the next hour just listing words like that, that, to me, it used to be like a supermarket magazine aisle, tabloid kind of, whatever, right? That sounds good for somebody else. But I believe for my life, I have so turned around. From misery, self-loathing, passive suicidal ideation, wanting to die every single day, to this is hyperbole, jumping out of bed. Maybe not quite, but trying to.
Thank you for your vulnerability and your honesty and going there. I really appreciate it. I never got to the point of suicidal ideation, and I didn't realize any form of self-loathing or not even low self-esteem until probably 20, 30 years later. What it was for me was I literally had this alcohol paradigm that alcohol was normal, nice, necessary, noble, and natural.
Yep.
And I only knew two people who didn't drink. One of them was a woman who I was in love with her when we were younger, and she just never, ever drank ever. So I just always knew her as someone who never drank. The other person was my granddad, who apparently he drank and wasn't a very nice person. And then he stopped drinking because he didn't want to be a very bad person anymore, right? They were the only two people. So whenever I would say to myself, I can't do this anymore, I think the part of me that never made it serious, and like you say, it was a lie, and I was lying to myself, I didn't have a paradigm, or a paradigm didn't exist that I could even latch onto where people didn't drink. So in my mind and my paradigm, there's no way I could stop drinking, because it's not even an option, right? It's not an option that my unconscious pulls up and says, well, maybe you could stop drinking. It was there for smoking, for sure. I remember when I stopped smoking, or when I was struggling with stopping smoking, there was an option that was, well, of course you can stop smoking. This thing's going to fucking kill you. You can stop smoking. But I never had a paradigm, you can stop drinking. And I think, millions of people around the world don't have that paradigm. They don't have people around them in their culture, in their cities, in their homes, in their environment, in their communities. They don't have people that don't drink. They may have the odd outlier. And so,
well, let me ask you a question. Do you today, outside of, you have the truth about alcohol and you have coaching, and do you have anyone in your family friend circle, and not your friends like me, like I don't drink, I know you, so you can't count me, like anyone else who doesn't drink?
This is a really good point, actually, that segues into something else, and I'd love to have your opinion on it. Just to finish what I was saying, I didn't have a paradigm and I didn't have people, but then in creating Strive and attracting people, not just from the UK where I am, but from all over the world. Like I did a post the other day where in one day I coached someone from Zambia, someone from Argentina, someone from Germany, and someone from Greece in a single day. This problem is pernicious and it's worldwide. But when you gather people in small communities like Strive, all of a sudden the paradigm exists, and that is when the cognitive dissonance starts. I say that the jungle, you start to hear the distant drums and all of a sudden it becomes, oh, well, Doug doesn't drink. Oh, and Susie doesn't drink. Oh, and Polly doesn't drink. And all of a sudden you start to think, maybe I can do this. Do I now see those people outside of Strive? This is really interesting. So I'm a great believer in energy and attracting, and my energy attracting the right type of people. What happens to me is I've attracted people for whom drinking alcohol is they're not drinking alcohol. They're not going to a pub or a restaurant to drink alcohol. They're going to a restaurant to eat food. And then they may order a bottle of wine and drink some of it. They may come to the pub to meet me and to talk to me, and they may drink, but they're not coming to drink. And that was very different. So I have a lot of people around me who I would say they try to drink consciously rather than drink unconsciously, which is what I was doing. Right. When they're in and around me, because I don't drink, they are more likely to drink non-alcoholic drinks because they're with me than they are to drink alcoholic drinks. So like I did a video once.
But hold on, let me answer the question. Like, isn't the short answer, no, you don't know anyone who doesn't drink outside of not your influence, but, connection to your and my world?
No, I do know people I know more people who don't drink as a result of me not drinking. I just like, that's what
I say. They don't drink. I don't know anybody. I don't know a single person in real life. Like are we allowed to name names?
Yeah.
Of people? Okay. Like Lisa from Strive.
Yeah.
We're not in contact every day, but I always comment on her posts, and we talk like we've actually become sort of friends. She doesn't drink, right? She doesn't drink. It has nothing to do with me, right? She had a different journey, got to where she is. I don't know anyone in real life who I'm like, you don't drink? Oh, sorry. One person. I know one person, and it's a little bit different path. I don't know the whole story, but I think major problems like AA, rehabs, that kind of thing, sober for life. So I do know one person. Take that back. Who doesn't?
Okay.
Drink.
So my there's two things here for me. I have a close group of friends. So if you use like the house, I use the house as like a good metaphor for boundaries, right? So I have a lot of people. I have a load of people outside my gate. I have a lot of people inside my gate in my front garden. I have a lot of people in my front garden. I have a lot of people in my house, but there's very few people I let into my bedroom. Out of the people I let into my bedroom, there's a few of them that don't drink. But if you go outside into my house, where like my mom and my dad and my sisters and everybody are, I would say 99.9% of people drink. Even the ones who don't drink a lot drink. Yeah. Yep.
So the point is that you're saying that you didn't have a role model then. People don't have role models now because really I can see the alcohol-free movement like it's like a tsunami, right? There's dry bars, there's mocktails, there's there's just sober curious, there's articles, but it's still, do you know the stats? It's got to be like 0.00000001% of the population.
Hi, Strivers. A quick pause from our regular programming for a golden ticket you won't want to pass up. So, October's looming, and you know what that means? Sober October. So if you've been wrestling with a booze or just want to give sobriety a test drive, then I've got a deal for you. I am throwing the doors of the Strive community wide open, and guess what? It's free until November the 1st. Yeah, you heard me right. Free, nada, zip, zilch. So what's cooking in the Strive pot? Well, first off, you get to hang with a kick-ass community of people just like you. And secondly, I will personally be leading weekly Zoom group coaching sessions that you won't want to miss. Lastly, you get your hands on our game-changing Strive method. Feeling intrigued? Want in? Well, shoot me an email at thestrivemethod@gmail.com and we'll hook you up. Remember, you've got until November 1st to snag this sweet deal, and trust me, you'll thank yourself later. While you're thinking on that, let's get back to the action. Thank you for listening. I did listen to a podcast, Bloomberg Radio, which is like a UK politics show the other day. Yeah. And they had statistics that showed the declining and dwindling numbers of pubs. And in the UK, it's quite drastic, actually. Like basically, it's pubs closing down all over the place in the UK. And they were saying that part of that reason is the youngsters of today are just not as interested in drinking alcohol as they used to. So, yep. I mean, it could be because they're taking more drugs. It could be because they're online more, just playing video games. There's lots of different reasons.
A few things. Those are both probably part of the...
Yeah, very definitely. I want to ask you about cravings. So I've just finished 90 days of no sugar and no coffee. And because I haven't drank for, 10 years or whatever, I can't remember whether I had intense cravings or not. But my story is, if I did have intense cravings when I decided to give up for good, I would have remembered them. I don't remember craving alcohol. I certainly never craved cigarettes in the 22 years I haven't smoked. So I gave this no sugar, no coffee thing a go for 90 days. And something really interesting happened to me, and I love your thoughts on it. I realized that when I was wanting to have a coffee or wanting to eat something sweet, because I am more developed and I'm more evolved and I am more grounded, I spend more time above the line and being conscious. Whenever I felt the pull, I just stopped and I breathed and I asked myself, what is going on? Who wants what? And I went into my body and I was really assessing what was going on. And my answer that I came out of was, if we were going to rate a craving for coffee or sugar out of 10 being like, fucking hell, I got to do it now, and 0 being, I'm not feeling anything, I was only in the last 90 days getting 1 or 2, right? Like the craving thermometer, the Geiger counter just was not going off. And I realized what was happening was it would become nighttime, I'd down tools, I'd put my daughter to bed, and I would go straight to the fridge to get some ice cream. Not because of a craving, but because that was my habitual way of doing it. And because I wasn't grounded, I wasn't able to stop and pause and put some time in the automatic process of getting my ice cream and then thinking about, well, do I really want it? And what are the consequences of it, et cetera, et cetera. I realized it was all habit. And then I came to the work, I've come to the working theory that when people say, oh my God, I went 7 days and I just crumbled, I just had to have a drink. I don't think, my working theory is that craving was not strong enough to drive them to go drink. What happened was they were not grounded in that moment. And so the habituation kicked in. They weren't able to give themselves the time to just go, hey, do you know what? I don't really want it. I don't think it's a bodily sensation that was driving them there, or a voice in the head going, drink, 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 drink. I just think it's just sometimes we're just like had a bad day. We don't give ourselves time to ride or surf this craving, and we just go and capitulate. And the reason I'm saying that is because if you're listening to this and you're worried, oh my God, I can't stop drinking because the cravings are going to kill me, I don't think that's the case, or it certainly hasn't been for me. What do you think, Doug?
It's a I'm going to try not to completely agree with you, but I basically do. Um, because I think it might, it just, what you just said, which that I agree with, has to be an oversimplification. And someone's going to like be screaming at you in the comments about this. But my experience is similar. Also, the period of quitting for me was in 2016. I mean, that's so long. I don't even, I don't remember yesterday, right? 2016 is history. But I do know that I did not experience like white knuckle, hold on, get through this moment with alcohol. Number one, I didn't have any physical, I had virtually no physical withdrawal, because I wasn't consuming that kind of quantity of alcohol. So the withdrawal for me was completely emotional, psychological, habitual, and just sort of, I think about this a lot when I look at some people who I wish drank less. No idea. I didn't. I'm not criticizing them. Yet you just have no idea what your body feels like without alcohol in it. I had not been without alcohol in my body for 35 something years, right? I mean, I definitely drank weekly. Then for like 20, 30, I don't know, I drank multiple times per week. And then I was drinking daily for a decade at least, or something like that. So the feeling that I have, or the feeling that I don't have, I didn't have that kind of hangovers like you would talk about. I just had, it was like being like having the flu, like a little bit of headache, just like worn out, always just. Right? So anyway, number one, people, you don't know what this like feels like, and it's incredible. But back to then, I quit for. I don't know how many days I have. I could look. Whenever I say this, I look it up. I'm on day 2896 of my 30-day cleanse. I started out with a 30-day cleanse. I'm like, I gotta stop. I can't do this anymore. I gotta stop. I was bloated and overweight. I put some weight back on, but I was almost 250 pounds. During this period, I've gone down to like 199. I'm like, people like, get a sandwich, dog. All right. You're too skinny. Excuse me. But, so I had a 30-day cleanse, and I was going to drink from June 6th through July 4th, which is about 30 days. I didn't even care if it was 30 days. Like, I didn't know anything. And maybe we can get to this later. I think people are seeking too much information, and they're paralyzed, looking for the right moment. I'm not ready. Something's got to click. I'm going to read, Lee's going to say something, and it's just, got it. No. I didn't know anything. I just quit for 30 days. Since I'd quit before and I knew it was good, I actually journaled that whole period when I had quit. And so I look back, and it's funny. I can look back at that journal, and it looks like today. Life is good, clear, blah, blah. Anyway, I went 30 days. And, you can kind of do anything for 30 days. And I wasn't physically addicted. And boy, I started to feel good. So did I have cravings? I don't think in that period of time I did. Or then I went, from July 4th to Labor Day, September to Thanksgiving. That's the high holy holiday of getting wasted for me. Christmas, New Year's, my anniversary, my birthday, blah, then it's a year, right? So what I ended up experiencing, though, and I'd say, is this a craving? Am I craving? And no, and I'm going to come back to specifically answer your view of this in a sec. I would recognize moments where this is when I used to drink, and it was often the most common one was sunshine, like coming home from work, and it's beautiful out, right? And you get like, I'm going to get home. I'm going to sit on the deck, have a beer, right? Like it wasn't like, oh man, I really want to have a beer on the deck. I would just see these moments where, oh, that's when I used to drink. And I actually just gave someone that advice online, I think this morning, that, you can go to a pub or a bar, as we call them. Like you go there, and that's where you used to drink, right? But who said, did you start a person who doesn't drink? Like there was
Yeah, I used to say, I'm someone who doesn't drink alcohol.
something like that.
Yeah, and then I changed it to I'm alcohol free as fuck because I couldn't be bothered saying it right. No, I couldn't be bothered writing it because it was too long.
It was too long. Like you couldn't make an acronym out of
it. I didn't want to do it sober, right? Like yeah.
It didn't roll off the tongue. But so if that's where you are, then yeah, you recognize that I used to drink. I had a fight with your wife, or your kids, blah blah, or bad day at work, or death in the family, blah blah blah, all the stuff. And you recognize these moments that I mean, I haven't forgotten. I haven't forgotten what alcohol feels like. I just don't want it. I don't want to feel that anymore. But what I heard you say that you got to be very delicate online, as you know. Believe me, I know if you remember our days on Strive, right? Delicacy, being delicate wasn't always my strong point. But I want to say, you're not struggling with alcohol, or not. You're not struggling with not drinking. You're just struggling with life, and life can be hard. Life can be great, but life can be hard. You get things happen that you don't want to happen. And on a scale like this, right? Little things, big things, or a lot of little things. So you're not struggling with alcohol. Like that's just this crutch that you've always used, and so you have developed coping skill, new coping mechanisms, etc. So you asked the question. I can go.
Well, there's two things I want to comment on, but one, I think that this could be really powerful for anyone listening who is started to question and think about quitting drinking or not. For those of you that are just randomly listening to this and you don't know why and you have no intention of drinking, it will probably the death effect will probably go in your head and it won't be as powerful as it can be. But I'm going to use cigarettes as an example. So because it's more powerful to use that example, but the alcohol is the same thing. So if you type in what is the most addictive substance on the planet and what is the most difficult substance to stop, smoking is going to be the number one that's up there. And my experience of smoking was that I tried several. I went through like a period of a year where I was giving up every day. Like I would give my cigarettes to Doug in the morning, and then I would be nagging him to give me a cigarette back. I could not beat this thing. And everything around me was...
I would say I quit 20 times a day.
Yeah. And everything around me was telling me that it was as hard as I was experiencing it, right? And then I read Alan Carr's Easy Way to Stop Smoking Permanently. And this is the gold. The day that I finished the book and said, okay, he says, have your final cigarette, right? And then I didn't even do that. I finished the book and I was like, okay, I'm never going to smoke again. And you've got to believe me, folks, when I say this, I am not lying. And this is not what do you call it? Hyperbole?
Hyperbole.
Hyperbole, right? This is not hyperbole. I went from, say, Monday. No, it was actually a weekend. It was a Saturday. So I went on Friday to thinking that like my cravings around smoking cigarettes were most intense, feeling never, and I could never quit, to Saturday not craving. And I was drinking as well. I was so surprised. Like I was drinking then, and we could drink and smoke in a pub back then. I went from Saturday not smoking, and 22 years later, because it was my boy was going to be born, so same age as my boy. 22 years later, I can categorically tell you, I have not craved a single cigarette. How do you go from not being able to do it one day and cravings being like insurmountable to the next day not craving and never craving in 22 years? It's because I was thinking that it was really, really difficult to stop smoking and that smoking gave me value. Mm-hmm. And then the next day I said to myself, this is not hard. I'm going to nail this because actually I now realize it doesn't give me any value. And that thought process then meant that I never craved. So what I'm saying, people, is it is psychological. And why is that really important? Because you now get control. If it was biological, then you don't have as much control. But if it's psychological, you can say to yourself, oh, wow, what you're saying, Lee, my thinking is driving my craving. Yeah, it is. So change your thinking, change your craving, right? So I just wanted to say that. Do you ever think
it's interesting because I used to smoke. I smoked a lot, then I smoked on and off, and then I, quit and on. And but I haven't smoked. Well, I quit smoking before I quit drinking, and that's there was like an inverse, right? Like, so I quit smoking, and I'd quit smoking so many times. I mean, for periods, not quit 20 times a day, like I would joke, but I'd actually quit for periods of time. So I knew I could do it, but the drinking went like this. I still, to this day, so I'm 7 years AF, so I haven't smoked in 10 plus years or something like that. And there's this thing. If if my kids are older now, but when your kids come to you and they have a knot in their shoelace, or did your wife come to you and say, "Hey, Lee, can you unsnarl this like very fine necklace?" Right? Yeah. You get like a pair of tweezers. There's something about that behavior that makes me want to smoke. Like I get a craving. Like there's something, I don't know what it is. I cannot make any heads or tails of it. But if my wife hands me a necklace, says, "Can you get it?" And I'll be like, yeah. So that's not physical. There's something like, I don't know what that trigger is or that connection is, but I know it exists. There's nothing physical about it.
Because it's not in your body, right? Like it's 12,
like 10 plus years.
Yeah, you get somebody on Strive and they stop smoking for 7-8 days, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Holy shit! Like I'm craving. Like maybe there's something." No, it's not in your body. The other thing I wanted to touch upon, and I'll throw the ball back over to you, is there was something you said that triggered this thought. Actually, for people at home, I just want you to know that when I was drinking at my worst, so when I was daily drinking, I was also in the height of my conflict as well, I would say, with my first wife, and everyone else around me, work and everything. But I want to make this statement very clear. I did not drink because I was fighting with my wife. I did not drink because I was lonely. I did not drink because I had no meaning and purpose. I did not drink because I just felt complete and utter apathy and nihilism about my life and the world. I didn't drink because I was bored. I didn't drink because my mates made me drink. I drank. All that was going on, but I drank because I drank. I drank because from the moment that I was born, and I've just been, if you haven't listened to it, listen to the Alcohol Free as Fuck Shift podcast I've been doing about my life. I drank because from the moment I was born, I was already birthed into a belief system that said drinking alcohol is normal, nice, necessary, and natural and noble. So I'm drinking because I'm a drinker. People like us do things like this. I'm just going to drink because everybody drinks. So when I fight with my wife, I'm going to drink because I drink. When I'm bored, I'm going to drink because I drink. I don't drink because I'm bored, though, right? Like, this is so important. I drink because culturally, that's what I do. To me, you get to a point where drinking alcohol is no different than drinking water or eating celery. It is just part of your life. And that's why you drink. And getting that and understanding that and getting angry about that. Like I just went and had my hair cut yesterday, and I told the guy what I did for a living. And he said, "Oh, well, I'm glad you just said that, actually, because is this a problem?" He said. And he told me his weekly drinking habits. He drinks about 8 pints a week, right? Never really drinks more than 4 pints a night when he goes out, right? Like, so, but he's already questioning that it's an issue or a problem. But will he stop? Well, culturally, the numbers stack up and tell you that he's usually going to have to hit some kind of problem. Like, the doctor's going to have to tell him there's something wrong with him. He's going to have to be done drink driving. He's going to have to have an affair after one night. Something's going to have to happen. And what a shame that has to happen, that the guy now is already like, hang on a minute. And I was explaining to him, like he was saying, "Doug, I just get this buzz. I'm in work. I get this buzz and I want to go to the pub, and I'm really looking forward to having those beers. And I go to the pub and I have a laugh." And I said, "Listen, mate, if you was to invite me to go out with you Friday night, I would have that buzz. I'm going to go out to the pub. I'm going to meet you. We're going to have a laugh. I'm going to have that buzz. And here's the thing. I'm going to drink fucking sparkling water, right? I'm going to drink sparkling water while you're drinking alcohol, right? And my buzz is going to be maintained because alcohol is a fucking depressant. It makes you anxious. It makes you stressful. Sparkling water doesn't. So if I can go out and drink sparkling water, why do you need to drink alcohol, right?
I try to. I go on these Facebook groups every single day. Why do I need it? I do it, right? I used to do it frequently to help people. I do help people on the side, one-on-one. They're full of noise. That's my brief story. So, but let me just come in here. Where did I say? No, that's my reply about people looking for something that clicks. Did I mention this here? So, and it's funny that my replies weave all kinds of Lee Davy and Strive, commentary that we've had. But this guy says he hasn't drank for 300 days, and feels great. He lists, mental well-being, ding, ding, like he's rocking it. But he's being very honest. Like all of a sudden, I'm thinking maybe I can have a drink once in a while, right? And so it was a really good post. Like I'm like, okay, so this is guy. Maybe I can say something that will help. This guy's really like kind of digging in.
Well, this is like your birthday moment in Italy, right? So you can use your experience.
Oh, true, very, very true. But he said that maybe he kind of he's gone out and socialized without alcohol and enjoyed himself, but he's thinking maybe go out and have one or two with his mates. All right, so what side of the Atlantic he's on. He's going to go out. He's thinking about going out with his mates. And I said, you say you missed the social aspects, quote, even though you socialized without drinking for 300 days and enjoyed it. While your post is very honest, I think you're not being honest with yourself here. It seems that you're missing the drug, not hanging with your mates. I mean, I'm trying to be like really diplomatic. He's gone out. If you've gone out and enjoyed yourself with your mates, then you don't need you miss the alcohol. You don't miss your mates. And so that's where people are just like, they can't even conceptualize what, you and I have been like baptized into this new outlook that we've been fed a lie. We have just accepted the media, the advertisement, our family, our friends, what everyone is doing as being completely normal. And when you stop and you step out of it, it's just like, this will probably get comments too. It's not sticking a needle into your arm, having a beer, but it's a drug. And in some ways it has a simple, you get a euphoric hit when you have a beer. You get a euphoric hit when you snort cocaine, inject heroin, smoke pot, take loot, it's a drug. And you look at those things, you go like, no, that's not, I'm not going to do that. But drinking a beer. So the, you were big on this at Strive that we're just indoctrinated into this drinking culture. And I laugh when people say, oh, I'm Irish, or, I'm from Minnesota, or my family is big. Like, no. Everybody is drinking everywhere, Your culture isn't more drink. No, it's just.
I haven't. Did the example you just gave of the guy? I have a client. He's actually in my men's group now. He's not in the Strive alcohol group. He's a client who I helped quit drinking, and he stopped drinking for over a year. Turned his life around, right? And there was one big thing for him was golf. So when we was working together one-on-one, he was really struggling to play golf with his mates because he had basically him and his mates, they weren't spending a lot of time in the healthy Shakti and Shiva of their masculine and feminine energies, let's say, right? They were spending far too much time in the dark side and the toxic and the childish, like little kids in men's bodies, right? Mm-hmm. And he managed to get over it. And then something changed. and he drank again, right? Now, he clearly understands that he's not going to the golf course and drinking because he really wants to drink alcohol. He's going to the golf course and drinking because he really doesn't have the tools, and he really doesn't have the confidence and the courage to deal with his friends assassinating him and making him and humiliating him and embarrassing him because he chooses not to drink. Now, whereas me and you would probably just be like, hey, dude, I'm going to give you fucking 3 strikes and you're out. You take the piss out of me, 3 strikes, fuck you. You're not my friend anymore. Go find another one. There's 7.8 billion people on this planet. Not everybody's like that, right? So a lot of people, they build up these friendships. And here's another part of how our thinking and paradigms and, fits into this, is whenever you say to somebody, okay, so this guy who's calling you a pussy because you won't drink when you're playing golf, how long have you known him? Fucking 30 years, one of my best friends ever. Is he your best friend, or how much value is he actually providing in your life as a friend? Not much, actually. Okay, if you were to actually create a friend, what points would they hit? These are the points that they would hit. This is the characteristic they would have. Did your friend have those? No. Okay, so you actually just think he's your friend because the cultural view is, if you've been someone for 30 years, you're wrong and you're bad if you suddenly stop being his friend. So for me, there are 7.8 billion people out there, and they're all little kids. And the adults who are little kids are just in men's suits and women's suits. And we're activated so often, and we're not practiced in the art of being grounded enough to be like, oh, hang on a minute. I'm in my inner child here right now. Like, I do not need this person's approval because I'm not in the fucking school playground anymore. But
I'm thinking, I thought you were going to go down a different path, and I think I've read things by or listened to things from you where you talk about status.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So there's a sociological aspect to this where society, alpha male, and
yeah. He wants to be the alpha male. And his friends want to be
evolutionary psychology, is driving us to drink. Now that might be, a bit of a stretch here, but
have you seen Chimp Empire? Mm-mm. Okay, so there's a program on Netflix. I think it's Netflix, called Chimp Empire, and it's about this 100-odd strong troop of chimpanzees, but there's only one leader, and then there's a pecking order of who's going to be the next leader, right? Now, if you're going to use that as a metaphor for what's going on in the world with the 7.8 billion humans, you literally would give the alpha male in Chimp Empire a bottle of whiskey, because that would signify that he's the alpha male. And then when he gives that bottle of whiskey to somebody else, he's the alpha male. That's all that's going on, not just for the men, but it's going on for the women as well.
And people who are listening to this, if they're there's such a different perspective when you step away, right? And it doesn't like there's like I said, I don't believe in the click, right? I think it's experience. It's lived experience that, I just told someone, someone asked, what's a good book to read to help me quit, right? And people are like, Annie Grace, William Porter, quit like a woman, And so I replied, game changer for me, Quitting by Doug Gelling. And I said, what I mean is, I quit. I've read and I've listened and listened and read and listened and read, and all that information, I can see it's true because I've already quit. Like I can't see. I'm drinking. Like, I'm not saying that this is the only way to quit. People get information and they learn, but I also think there's just like you get hooked on the idea that you're going to learn something that changes your perspective. And for me, like, having stepped away for so long, like, I can't, like, what triggers me is reading an article in the Wall Street Journal last night about how important sleep is. And ways to improve your sleep. And the introductory paragraph is, about it being summer and the day, there's more daylight. And I'm like, okay, circadian rhythms. I'm getting into this article, and a lot more socializing and drinking. It just didn't need to be. It didn't need to be said. Like, it was just like this. Here's a given. Here's another example of alcohol being just accepted, and you don't even notice. But like, when you're away from it, like, all this stuff stands out as like crazy talk.
It's crazy. It's insane. It's
like, why am I going to take a drug to
Ryan Reynolds. So Ryan Reynolds has bought Wrexham Football Club in North Wales, and they've created a documentary, and I was watching it last night. And Ryan Reynolds and his business partners also bought the club. He's also an actor. They have this itinerary where they're going to meet the community in Wrexham, and they end up in a pub, and the locals are giving them shots, and they're drinking shot after shot after shot. And at the end, when they interview the fans are like, oh my God, Ryan Reynolds was just like one of the boys. Now, imagine if Ryan Reynolds would have turned around and said, I'm not drinking.
Mm-hmm.
There would have been a divide. They would have not seen him as one of the boys, purely because he didn't pour poison down his throat and act a little bit stupid like they did. But he still could have had his respect, his dignity, not had a drink, just been there and had some banter, but they would have looked at him differently, right? Now, I don't know that. It's just, I'm basing that on my understanding.
That would very likely be the case. And, again, like, in terms of stepping away, I remember it was a couple of years ago, and I told you, weather, sun was like a kind of a, not a trigger, but like, oh, I would drink now. But I've stepped far enough away. I remember seeing lots of people on a big, bar, patio, sunshine kind of place. And I was driving, actually. I kind of looked over my shoulder at the place, and I saw someone go pick up their beer. And to me, I'm thinking, are you thirsty? Like, why? Like, why are you doing that? Like, there's no value that I no longer see the value in drinking something that doesn't actually taste good. Wait for comments on that. No, it really, this lager, actually, I enjoy the taste of it, but it doesn't taste good, and disconnects you from those around you. I don't get it. That's early. That's Strive 2018 talk.
Well, Doug, I'm gonna have to call time. You've been a wonderful guest.
Yep.
I am actually going to have some dinner with my family, and then we're going to drive out to the coast to do some stargazing. If I would have done this 22 years ago, I would have been drunk already by now.
Wonderful. When are you going to be in the? I can just talk. You can edit anything.
No. Yeah, well when
are you going to be in the? You were in the US for a while. When, like, you were in LA or something?
No, I'm in the UK.
Right, I know that now.
We're going to stay here, I think, for the future. Maybe go back to LA in the future. But
is your wife from the States? Is she from LA? Is that how you end
up? From California.
Oh, okay. Cool. Well, I wish you the best, Lee. And this you edit out because I'm going to get choked up. I valued that time. You and I kind of arm wrestled. I really enjoy you as a person. I respect your advice, and you changed it for me. And it was around the value question. You were like, Doug, what is the value? What is the, like, I think I was talking about taste at the time. And I'm like, fuck you, Lee.
It does taste nice. You can't tell me.
You can't tell me that. And so, like, those like arm wrestling, really, I mean, I am so fucking alcohol free. Like, I'm going to get a license plate. This is AFAF, right? Like, I can say I will never drink. Annie Gray says you don't know, until you die if you've held that, if you made it. She's right. But I love being alcohol free. And I went from not knowing what I was doing I quit in 2016. I started like researching, what do I do in 2017? I think it was around 2018. I found Strive, and I was just like, you find a tribe. And it really just, like, that changed everything for me. And so I still see Stella, Lisa, and Anna Welch, Welch. Like those guys, it's really like it's part of my life, and I appreciate it. So I just want to say thanks.
And I appreciate you totally. You are a fantastic writer, philosopher. You speak so much sense. You push people to their edges and their boundaries of their comfort zone, which is really important. And you've changed and inspired so many people. So keep doing what you're doing. But I do have to run. We'll catch up another time. Yeah.
Be good. Hope it's less than 5 years or whatever it's been. Okay.
Yes.
Take it easy.
I'll be in touch. Take care, Doug.
Bye, bro. Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed that episode. Just a few thank yous. First of all, I want to thank you guys and girls for listening to this podcast and being supporters of it. Many people stop drinking alcohol just by listening to this podcast. I get a lot of people reaching out to me, thanking me for that, right? So give this to somebody as a gift today, or rate and review the podcast. If you can rate and review the podcast on your local podcast player and tell somebody about it, you could change somebody's life today, okay? So thank you for listening, and thank you in advance for that piece of service. Also want to thank our producer, Stan. Stan is still currently in the Ukraine, fighting the war and producing our podcast while his family is somewhere else in the world right now, okay, apart from him. So everybody send out your prayers and your love. Stan, we love you. Thank you very much for everything you do here. For you out there, if you are starting to think about, contemplate, reflect on your relationship with alcohol, you do not have to do this alone. Yes, you drink alone, but you don't have to stop alone, okay? And if alcohol is not your thing, but you are starting to feel that you actually are living a parts-led life, the ego is getting in the way too much, so you're not happy with the way life is going, then reach out to us at thestrivemethod@gmail.com. Just say, Lee, and just tell me what is on your mind, and we'll start to have that conversation. Strive community is a beautiful place where you can start to feel seen, heard, and matter. It's where you can get community, and it's where you can start practicing what we call the 8 C's of self, our core values, right? Of creativity, curiosity, connection, compassion, courage. I can't remember the rest of them, but there's 8 of them, right? And we have our quest structured. So we have assignments, and they're really interesting, exciting. At the end of them, we say to you, come on, do this quest, right? Get involved in this challenge. And strivers are really finding it exciting, and they're working their challenges in these areas that are going to increase the amount of time they spend in self-energy, in a state of flow. And that has amazing repercussions for the relationship you grow with yourself, and for how you reach out to others in their life, like how you parent, how you are as a child to your, not child, but a son or a daughter, how you are in the relationship with the person you share your bed with, and how you behave with your employees, right? So reach out to me at strivemethod@gmail.com if you want to learn more. Okay, much love, everybody.